The first cafe chairs scrape across the stone pavement. A bartender wipes the counter before greeting his first customer with a loud, cheerful, "Buenos dias." Fresh bread arrives from the bakery next door. Two elderly neighbors stop in the middle of the narrow street, talking as if they have nowhere else to be. A delivery driver waits patiently behind them in his van. No one honks. No one seems to mind. Seville wakes up with conversation. Before the local cafes become crowded. Before the neighborhood markets open their stalls. Before the city reaches its famous electric energy. People are already talking, laughing, greeting one another. Around the world, Spain is almost universally associated with passion. Flamenco, football, festivals. But passion isn't something Spaniards perform. It's something they practice. Every ordinary day. The real passion of Spain begins long before the music starts. It begins in everyday life, and it changes the way they greet, eat, argue, celebrate, and love. To understand Spain, we first have to understand that passion. When we hear the word passion, we often think of intense, fleeting emotions. A sudden burst of anger, a dramatic romance, or a moment of overwhelming joy. But to understand Spain, we must look at passion differently. Here, passion is not simply an emotion you feel. It is the very way you choose to live. For centuries, the warm Mediterranean climate dictated a simple rule. The house was a place to sleep, but the street was the place to live. And because life was pushed outdoors, it became inherently public. Spanish cities and towns were not designed to keep people isolated. They were built around the plaza, the public square. These open stone courtyards were created to act as the communal living rooms of the neighborhood. This architecture of closeness forged a culture of profound human connection. You cannot be anonymous in a traditional Spanish neighborhood. You are part of a deeply interwoven fabric of families, friends, and local shopkeepers. Because life is meant to be shared, Spaniards do not hide their emotions. If there is a disagreement, it is voiced loudly with expressive hands and full volume. If there is joy, it is celebrated openly, without reservation. There is no cultural prize for suppressing how you feel. What truly matters here is the conversation. What matters is the community. We don't need to unravel centuries of complex history to see this. We only need to look at how people treat each other right now. Generations of Spaniards inherited a culture that demands engagement. They inherited the belief that a quiet, isolated life is an incomplete life. Over time, this intense, vibrant way of interacting didn't just happen on special occasions. Passion became an inseparable part of daily culture. It wasn't a performance for outsiders. It became a habit. To truly understand this habit of passion, we must follow the rhythm of an ordinary Spanish day. It begins in the morning, inside a crowded, noisy local bar. The morning coffee is rarely taken in a paper cup to go. People stand at the counter, surrounded by the chaotic, beautiful symphony of clinking saucers, loud voices, and the hiss of the espresso machine. The bartender knows everyone's name. They exchange rapid-fire jokes, complaints about the weather, and local gossip. Just down the street, inside the neighborhood mercado, buying a few tomatoes or a cut of meat is never just a transaction. It is an excuse for a 10-minute conversation with the vendor about family and life. As the afternoon arrives, we witness perhaps the greatest testament to Spanish passion, the long lunch. In many cultures, eating is a functional necessity, a quick break before returning to productivity. In Spain, the meal is sacred, but not just because of the food. It is because of the sobremesa, the time spent lingering at the table long after the plates have been cleared. This is when the true sharing happens. Voices overlap. Stories are told. Children are not isolated at a separate table or silenced. They are woven directly into the loud, vibrant fabric of the family gathering. They learn from a young age that human connection is the center of existence. Then comes the evening, and the cities undergo a magical transformation. This is the time for the paseo, the traditional evening stroll. Entire neighborhoods empty out of their apartments and spill into the streets. Grandparents walk arm in arm. Teenagers gather on stone steps. Children chase footballs across the illuminated plazas, while their parents watch from terrace tables, sharing small plates of tapas and cold drinks. The night stretches out wonderfully unhurried. Dinners are eaten late, often well past 9 or 10 o'clock, accompanied by the distant sound of a Spanish guitar or the rhythmic clapping of friends singing together. Through this daily rhythm, a profound message reveals itself. Passion isn't always loud. It isn't always a dramatic dance or a screaming stadium. True passion is giving your full, undivided attention to the exact moment you are living and to the people you are sharing it with. Yet, as we observe this vibrant, deeply connected way of life, an inevitable question arises. Can this deeply rooted lifestyle actually survive the isolating pressures of the modern world? Spain today faces new pressures: the isolation of digital life, the weight of mass tourism, rising housing costs that threaten to hollow out authentic neighborhoods. Will the famous Spanish passion slowly fade into a digital, globalized silence? The modern pressures are real, but if you look closely at the streets today, you will see a fierce, joyful resistance. Young Spaniards are not abandoning their culture. They are actively reclaiming it. Despite the convenience of the digital world, they still choose to gather in the crowded, noisy local cafés. They still prioritize the evening paseo over staying home alone. Traditional neighborhood festivals are not dying out. They are being driven forward by a new generation who understands that their identity is tied to their community. Local flamenco schools remain full of young students, eager to learn not just a dance, but a profound emotional language. Even in the face of rising costs, communities are organizing, fighting to keep their local markets and neighborhood squares alive and authentic. Instead of letting modernity isolate them, Spaniards are using their deeply ingrained culture of connection to push back. Spain isn't trying to preserve its passion by locking it inside museums or freezing it in the past. It keeps passion alive by fiercely living it every single day. The sun finally sets over Seville. Our bartender steps outside and pulls the heavy metal grate down over his doors, turning the key just as he did at dawn. His workday comes to an end, but across the cobblestone square, the echoes of laughter and loud, joyful conversation continue into the night. Perhaps that is exactly why Spain feels so fundamentally different. Passion isn't something reserved for a week of festivals. It isn't left behind in the football stadiums. It lives in everyday conversations, in long shared meals, in ordinary evenings on crowded streets. That may be Spain's greatest tradition, not simply celebrating life, but living it with all your heart.